Hey, practice owners, welcome back to another edition of Coming Back Stronger. Um, on this session, we have a very, very long-time friend of the Profitable Dentist magazine, somebody who's been around dentistry a long, long time, has saved, I don't even know if we could tally it up, millions and millions and millions of dollars for practice owners. Leo Townsend of International Payment Solutions. And Leo is, by the way, you're quarantining in Florida, right, Leo?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And I know usually when we talk, you've got to call me back because you're out on the boat and you're fishing and, can you get out on the boat now at all?
I can. The problem is I need to get some battery work done, so I can't get out there, but they're killing the tuna. I'm on a Facebook page where they show the people out there what they're catching, and they're just killing the tuna and the dolphin right now.
Well, and so that's something you can do, social distancing. You can be on your boat out in the Atlantic catching tuna, and you don't have to worry about, being quarantined and all that, do you?
No, yeah, our marina, they have a whole procedure in place to put the boats in the water. Cause I dry dock mine, so they'll lift it up with a big forklift and put it in the water, and we just sit down and wait for them to do it.
Well, it's so maybe it's a good time. I appreciate it. So we got a lucky catch here, so to speak, with you being in. So I appreciate you being on, Leo. And just for practice owners who don't know Leo, International Payment Solutions is sort of it's kind of merchant services, but more. A lot of the more is Leo. So it's not like you call your local bank, and we've been through this before, and I'm sure Leo will get into the nuts and bolts of this. But kind of two situations occur. One is you call your local bank and they say, hey, we do merchant services too. Here they are. They get you signed some papers. You completely forget about it and you move on. And 5 years later, you find out you're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars more a month. And Leo always has somebody that, has sent in a piece of paper, and literally for a fax in 5 minutes of time, they save thousands of dollars a year. The second thing is, so first is, who's doing it now for you. The second thing really is getting through to the doc. So one of the challenges that we've always had is, even in practices, you can love your office manager, you can love your practice manager, you can love your accountant, but they are not writing the checks with your money. So, if a guy like Leo comes along and says, listen, it costs you literally nothing to do this. All you do is, let me look at the numbers. If it works out, sign a piece of paper and your account changes. If it doesn't work out, we move on happily and, nice to know each other. But what happens, I think, and Leo can talk to this in just a few minutes, is you get some attention. The doc says, hey, Jane, call this guy and see what we can do. Leo does the math, saves you $800, $900 a month, $1,000 a month, more than that. And then this challenge is getting that follow-up when you go back to business, when you get back to normal, and you're seeing patients and she's checking them in and out, and she's filing insurance claims and she's doing all these things. And the last thing on the list is bother with this merchant account. But the irony is it literally can be thousands of dollars a month every month for doing nothing and investing nothing. So the reason I reached out to Leo was during this time, we always get I'll get around to that when I get the time. Well, now practice owners, you have the time. And it's really a simple thing, and Leo can explain it, but it's really a simple thing to just see how much you're paying in your merchant account. And Leo, I mean, it turns into, we were talking before, it's thousands of dollars sometimes a month just in fees. That's all, just fees, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing nowadays. As I tell merchants, credit card processing is only as cost effective as who the person you're processing through. I had a dentist fax over a statement last week and then leave the office. So the only contact information I have is at the office, and you call them and find out they're closed. So I've got a statement here where I can save this doctor $2,000 a month and don't know how to get a hold of them.
And it's really nothing. So what it's saying is, you look at the statement, you compare it against sort of the wholesale market, what you do, and you find out they're paying $2,000 a month every month, more than they need to in just fees. That's all.
Yeah, and understand, Steve, this is that you and I have talked about this for years. The single biggest reason why merchants are overcharged on their credit card processing is lack of knowledge. My competition throws numbers at them, but never explains the math behind it. So I want to make sure we get the math out to everybody out there so they can realize just how easy it is. This is third grade math. My kids have known this for years. So what you want to think about is this. Everybody in credit card processing has the same cost. It's called interchange, dues, and assessments. And the way the whole thing works is every time you use a credit card, the bank that gave you that card gets back a percentage and a per transaction fee. Okay. Now, please understand, there's 16 pages of single line type. So when a company quotes you a 1.25 rate, you're chasing down, and that's the lowest number you get is a 1.25 rate, understand, that's only going to qualify for the check cards. Two types of cards, a Visa check card, a MasterCard check card. That's it. Every other card goes to their mid or non-qualified rates at the highest cost. So when I have people like this doctor recently who says, Leo, I've got a 1 1/4, beat this. And then I show them how to do the effective rate, which is you take your fees, and you divide that into how much in processing you did. His effective rate was 5.25.
And just so they understand, that's a lot of, that's your base card, gift card, or not gift card, excuse me, points cards.
Rewards cards.
Yeah, rewards cards. Thank you. Those don't count for that 1.25. Those check. And there are a lot of practices where, I mean, you probably know it better than me. At least half or more of the cards you take is somebody saying, hey, I want to get my points. I want to get my Southwest rewards or my Delta rewards or my whatever. Those are basically the practice is subsidizing that at that point, right?
Yeah. Now, what happens is this, to give you an idea, and we'll use that 1.25% as a number to give you guys an idea what I'm talking about. Visa MasterCard is going, as just announced, a rate increase on keyed cards taken over the phone or by invoice. And it's one of the biggest increases they've ever had. It's 0.1%. So when you have these companies that have a 1.25%, they'll leave that alone and say, we're going to increase, like a perfect example is this dental software that I just showed the doctor $2,000 a month in savings on. May 1st, they raised them 0.1% on their mid-qualified, which is where the rewards cards are going to go, and their non-qualified, where their actual keyed cards, which was the only rate increase, is going to go. So they get to rate, basically, get a 0.1% increase on every card except for the check cards. So if you're in Beverly Hills, you don't see check cards.
Right.
If you're in Silicon Valley, you don't see check cards. All you're seeing is rewards cards and business cards. So that's why most people, and just to give you guys an idea out there, you do your effective rate, as I said, by taking the fees and dividing it into the processing volume. So if you paid $300 in fees to take $10,000, that's 3%. If your statement says 159, how did it get to 3%? Because the 159 doesn't really mean anything. So you want to make sure you look at your effective rate. And Steve, unfortunately, dentists pay the highest cost of any industry to take credit cards because of dental software. I see people with dental software. As I said, this one just sent in a statement yesterday. Her effective rate was 4.8%. We're going to get her closer to 2%. So there's basically a 2.8% savings on over $100,000 in processing. That's $3,000 a month.
Yeah, and that's because I guess make sure I'm understanding. If you're processing it through your dental software, there's a convenience to it, but at $3,000 a month, you probably need to step back and say, is it worth $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year?
It's not worth $3.
Yeah.
Because the savings from the dental software, just so you guys understand, and if the doctors don't know it, the office managers know this. To be able to interact with your dental software for credit card processing, you've got to first sign into the account. You've got to pull up the customer's account. Then you do the transaction through their system, and the benefit, here it is, folks, is it automatically posts to that customer's account. As we tell everybody, you got to go through all this crap anyway. Have a terminal sitting right next to the computer, so you do the credit card through the outside terminal, you print your receipt out, and you just enter in the dollar amount. So the only step you're doing is the extra putting in the dollar amount into your software versus it automatically posing. So how long does it take you to type in a 6-digit number? But if you're really slow, 6 seconds, and that's the only savings.
So versus paying a piece to the people who loan the money, paying a piece to MasterCard or Visa, and paying a piece to whoever the dental software is for giving you this. Yeah, that's, and like I said, we've seen some of these. You've shown me some that are thousands and thousands of dollars. So the second piece of that was, and we've talked about this for a long time, the office manager. And not that they don't love the practice, not that they're not awesome, not that they're not working really hard to do a good job, but they don't see the benefit of this at all. It's not their bottom line.
The dental software salesmen are the best in the industry. Okay, so let's first off put the blame where it really is. I've seen proposals where our customers give us that says that this transaction is going to be a 2 minutes per transaction savings by going through the software. And as we just determined, it's 6 seconds. It's not 2 minutes. So they base their savings on time savings. How much is it going to save you by time from the staff? And then they raise rates on it. So next thing you know, you're paying more for supposed 6 seconds in savings when it's actually they say it's 2 minutes in savings, when it's really 6 seconds. Most people are paying 40% more than they should by going through their software.
So there's also a per item fee or transaction fee.
Yeah.
Is there sort of fat hidden in there that they might look for?
Well, you got to understand, this is one of the new companies out there. There's a company saying we have no percent transaction, no percent markups. Okay. Well, they're going to charge you anywhere from $99 to $199 a month to be able to get this lower cost. Well, we've looked at their statements. We've looked at what they're doing. It's not. It's just the latest and greatest gimmick. Is we're going to charge you $99 a month and not have any percent markup, but they'll charge you a 25-cent transaction fee or something along those lines. So that winds up being, because of the size of the transaction fee and the $99 a month, you're paying more than you would normally. But it makes it easy for you. And the big thing for a while was flat fees. Well, we're going to charge you a flat 2% to take your cards. Well, as we've shown many dentists who are on these flat fee programs, when we do their effective rate, that 2% is now 2.4. They haven't noticed the creep. And that's why you want to, my biggest thing I can take, and I want everybody to take away from this conversation today, is take this part of your practice into your hands. If anybody else is handling it for you, stop it. You take control of your money. And what you'll find is, and give you a perfect example, most dentists should be around effective rates of around 2%. So if you do your effective rate and find out you're at 5%, that means you're paying approximately 3% more than you should. And there's where you say 3% times X number of dollars. That's how much money I could possibly save by going through a reputable company.
And there's maybe here's a good question. A lot of docs, I don't think, realize that the majority of their revenue goes through a credit card processor. Most people run it through, if it's not third-party finance like Care Credit outside, or they're not paying cash, most people are check. Most people are running it through a credit card. So I think practices on average see like 75 to 80% of their monthly go through. Is that the number you see?
Numbers I see around 65, 70% of businesses, most dentists that run through credit cards. And here's a real easy one for you guys to save some money. If you're doing insurance payments where the insurance company is giving you a credit card to run through your terminal, stop that immediately and you'll see more money back in your pocket. Because what they switched was that, remember, the bank that gives you that credit card gets back a percentage and per transaction fee. So now they're giving you guys the corporate cards at the 2.6 to 2.7% and having you key that into your terminal. Then at that point, you're at the mercy of whoever your processor is, possibly charging you 5 to 6% for that card. When you could just tell them, hey, I want the money sent to my account. I want a check. I want a paper check. I don't want to run through credit cards I want basically no cost to get paid my money versus paying anywhere from 2.5% to 4% for it.
Or an EFT, they could do an EFT or funds transfer.
Well, it all depends on the insurance companies because, you know, we've had some of them tell us, well, if you do it this way, it's going to cost you $100 to do it. But if you do it this way, it's free. So it all depends on who your insurance, who you're going to be doing it through. But everybody, if you just stop taking those insurance cards, you will see an increase in revenue. You'll see an increase in your profit margin.
So you take somebody who's got $1 million, just say $1.2 million because it's easy math, $100,000 a month in collections. 70% of that is what, $840,000 a year in credit card processing. So 1% or 2 or 3 is where you end up with $2,000 or $3,000 a month.
Yeah. And that's where we talk about the office managers, and I want to make sure everyone understands why I want you, the doctor, take control of this part of your practice. For the last 15 years, I've had office managers I've told that we could save the office $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And then when I call them back, they tell me the doctor has no interest.
Yeah.
Now, the chance of a doctor not having interest in $3,000 a month, you know, savings is pretty slim. So in the few times we've been able to get around the office manager and talk to the doctor directly, we've been told, well, she said you couldn't save us any money. Or she was able to take your numbers and go back and get them to match them. Well, let's talk, dollars and donuts here. No one's going to give up $3,000 a month in profit. So when we go back and look at the statements, okay, yeah, they lowered your costs. Now we're saving you $2,800 a month versus $3,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And the office manager is too embarrassed to tell the doctor.
I sort of, and here's some advice for practice owners. I've been in business a long time, and I do this every few years with insurance companies, my insurance companies. I'll shop it around. I'll get I'll get a low rate. And then I'll say, great, I have a new partner for my insurance. And every few years, something happens and it changes. And I have a lot of businesses, so my insurance is spread around. But what I'll have is somebody who about 2 years, 3 years into it, I'll suddenly look at a bill and I'll say, man, that just, I don't remember because I'm busy, but it seems like it was a lot lower then. Well, then we look and it's doubled from just 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And so, I put it off on somebody, they call and say, well, yeah, I know we had this coverage, but I knew Steve would want this. So they upped it a little and they upped it a little and they upped it a little. And pretty soon we're up here and they've added on things. And I don't know, I know that, and I'll tell you one that jumps out at me, Leo, was flood insurance. And I don't know if you know where I live, but I live on a bluff that overlooks Louisville, Kentucky. I am 560 feet above the city of Louisville. If my house floods, I will promise you, we have bigger problems than me getting my house, getting some flood insurance. That means the city of Louisville, Kentucky is under almost 600 feet of water. But he thought I would want that. So he just tacked that on, help me out and do me a service. So exactly the same thing happens. I call and I say, are you kidding me? You added this onto my insurance. He said, oh, well, I'll take it off. Not only that, but if you talk to somebody else, I'll match them. There's a part of me that says, listen, if why would I want to sign up with somebody who's been taking advantage of me for 2 more years just because today they decided to match it? So if they were looking out for my best interest, they'd have been matching it all along. And, so the insurance people that I stick with, I always tell that story. And I say, here's what I want you to do. About every year, I want you to call me and say, listen, I've noticed, here's what's happening here, claims. I'm an insurance guy and I know auto rates have changed or whatever it might be. And your premium's going to go down about $50. So I just wanted you to know that's why. I thought, you don't need this much insurance, or we have 5 kids and, a couple of my kids, the cars they drive, they don't, they need liability only. I promise you. The cost of insurance is more than the car. So I appreciate when somebody comes to me and says, I'm going to charge you less. Here's why. You can feel comfortable. You've got the same amount of coverage or whatever. So every time we have that conversation, Leo, that's what pops in my head is if my bank, and I think that's where most people get their cards, isn't it? Sort of through their bank. When they sign up for an account, they just say, hey, we have merchant services, sign this paper and you get it. If they've been charging me 3 times more than I should pay for the past 5 years, that is tens of thousands of dollars extra for nothing. Then why would I feel comfortable saying, okay, beat this guy who just came to me and is going to save me tens of thousands of dollars and they match you and say, okay, done, let's all go about our business. I got to think that if that's how they view our relationship, they're going to get, I mean, I've just paid them tens of thousands of dollars. Nobody ever says, yeah, we've been overcharging you for 3 years, let me give it back. They just meet your price. And I promise you, a year from now, it's crept up and crept up and crept up and crept up. And here's this fee. And we only do these cards. And it is very complicated. I will say that, you know, you and I've talked before, it's very complicated. So if somebody wanted to, if there's a doc listening who says, you know, I love my office manager, but I could see where that would happen. And usually, Leo, what happens is, I know, just to share with the listeners and viewers, is, you know, Leo will call me and say, I know that you know Dr. So-and-so, and I appreciate you sending him to me, but I just got off the phone with his office manager, and she said he's not interested, and I'm looking at $1,800 a month. And, you know, so I'll call the doc, and that's exactly how that happens. I know Leo provides a little cover there, but that's how that happens. And that's the answer that I get. The doc says, no, she said, you guys were more. You're 1.26%, and they made it 1.25. But at the end of the day, you've still spent $1,800 extra a month. So if a doc was going to get their hands around this, what would they look for, you know, right now, while kind of the office is closed? What they look for, what they look at, how would they interact with you? What, you know, what's the process here, I guess?
Well, the easiest way of thinking about actually taking advantage of this downtime is to get one of your recent statements. And understand, I want you to go back at least over the last 3 months and look at the statement message, and you'll see what your company raised your rates to. When there's a feeding frenzy like this, where there's an announced rate increase, these guys are going to town. They are increasing rates beyond belief. And that's where you find out first. But most importantly, the math is simple, guys. Think about it this way. As I said, if you're charged $300 to take $10,000, that's 3%. Most dentists should be around 2%. So take 1% of that $10,000, that's $100. Put that back in your pocket.
Okay. For
you guys in the bigger practices. As I said, I'm not going to show the doctor, but they're doing $100,000, and they're at 4.8% because they're going through their software. The average dentist that I found over the last 10 years is paying approximately 3.5% to 5% due to software, when they should be closer to 2%. I've got dentists in Manhattan. You know, he's at effective rates around 1.5% because he's taking so many check cards. So think about it this way. Your rates are directly tied to, at least they should be, your clientele. So if you're in a working class environment, poorer clients, they're going to give you more check cards, and you'll see a lower cost. If you're in an upper income, Silicon Valley, Beverly Hills, people are giving you nothing but not only just rewards cards, but they're giving you the high value rewards cards and their business cards. So you're going to see costs a little closer to 2.25%, 2.5%. But that's about as high as you should see. When you're at 3.5%, 5%, guys, that's just giving a bank a ton of your money. And to give you something that you guys may have noticed or not noticed, just to show you how bad this whole industry is for you as dentists, the companies that interfaced with all the dental software were purchased, bought out 2 years ago. So who you were processing with, you're no longer processing with. And you saw a ginormous increase last year. You're seeing another big increase this year. The company that bought that industry bought because the fact is they know they can overcharge dentists and get away with it because the office managers. Take back this part of your process and put hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month back in your pocket.
You know, the other thing that struck me, you and I have talked about this before, is this is not, I don't know that most practice owners even know how they pay their merchant fees. They don't have any concept. So the way this works is, you know, you got a patient that comes in, and we'll just use a round number. You got a patient that comes in, has treatment, it's $1,000, and they run their card through. So the bank, and whoever's tied to the merchant company, they take that $1,000 that got run through, and they deposit it in your bank account. And if your payment rate is 4%, they just took $40 of that, and they put $960 in your bank account. Is that right?
Well, that's if you do daily settlement. Most companies, daily settlement is if you take $100, they take their fee off the top and deposit the balance. Most companies nowadays have moved towards monthly settlement, where you take $100, you get $100, and they get your fees at the end of the month.
Okay.
Now, I've been wanting to bring this up. I forgot about it. When we talked about rates creeping up and up and up, one of our customers sent us a proposal last week from a competitor looking to lower their costs and get the account. Well, obviously, after seeing the account, not only was it not lower, but they were going to charge the customer a $99 annual fee to not raise their rates.
Okay.
And as I told the merchants, like, you've been with us for 7 years, and we've never raised your rates. That's how we do business normally. Right. But these other companies will raise you every year, and this company wants to make $100 a year off you to not raise your rates.
So they're going to charge you $100 not to charge you more.
Yeah. And the fact is, because merchants don't understand it, they slide stuff in anyway.
Right, right. Well, and I guess that's what I was my point with the percentage that they take when you settle. You don't notice it. If it was a bill that said, hey, thanks for running these through, and by the way, here, write us a check for $8,200. And at the end of the month, you would hit the roof and say, are you kidding me? $8,200 just to process my money? But since they take it off, I think, since they take it off before it gets to your bank account, you don't see the money as lost. You see them, all you see is, oh, awesome, $76,000 went in my bank account. You don't realize it should have been 84, and somebody else took that big percentage to process it. And they took, maybe, like you said, they took 2 times or 3 times what is necessary to be able to do that same processing. And it just, you look and say, how much is in the bank? And it's there, but you never realize that big piece that got eaten up on the way. And that's what's
happening nowadays. And this is where I always try to get the doctors to understand, is that more and more companies are going to green, which means they're not sending out a paper statement. They're requiring you to go online. Most doctors, and I will say this just from my own experience, 80% of the time I'm talking to someone about credit card processing, it's the office manager, not the doctor. Right. The office manager doesn't have a fiduciary responsibility to save you bupkis. Mm-hmm. They think that going through the software is going to be saving them time, or going through their friends at the local banks is going to save them money, and that they're going to get so much better service. Mm-hmm. I've ruined more friendships and business banking relationships than I ever want to think about, simply because we walk in there. I'll give you a perfect example. We had a doctor in Iowa last year. His fraternity buddy was the one who was handling his account. It had been handling an account for 10 years. We go in there and show him he's overcharging by 35%. The guy says, well, I'll match Leo's numbers. And I said to the doc, like you said, if they've been overcharging me by 35% for the last 10 years, why would I want to continue to do business with you?
That's a boat payment for them, not for you. And I'm a big believer, the name of the magazine, The Profitable Dentist, it still means you can, and here's a perfect example, maybe, being profitable and focusing on the profitability of your practice isn't in conflict with how well you treat your patients. You treat your patients exactly the same. This is just a situation where you're paying $5,000 when you should pay $2,000. And I mean, that's all it is. So, but before we let it get away, how would, 2 things. One, how to get in touch with you, but also, Leo, if somebody is, they're not seeing patients right now, staff is doing whatever they're doing, maybe they're furloughed, and a doc says, sure, I'd like to save a few $100 or a few $1,000 a month, and I think literally doing nothing other than, moving an account. What would they get? What do you want from them? Rather than digging deep into it, you'll take, I'm kind of setting you up here. I think you've told me before, have them send a statement and that's it. And you'll pick through it.
Yeah. Well, most processing statements are made to be as complicated as possible for the layman. This is all I do all day, is look at processing statements and analyze them and come up with cost savings. One of the big trends, and this is one of the things that has really scared and angered me for the last 5 years, is non-disclosed statements. And once again, got to lay it at the software company's feet. This is where they basically say, hey, you took Visa, you took MasterCard, and we charge you whatever the heck we wanted to charge you. Good luck, Leo, good luck trying to prove anything. Because it literally, that's what it says. You took Visa, we charge, you took $10,000 in Visa, we charged you $500. You took $20,000 in MasterCard, we charged you $480. Well, that requires the doctors to do the math, and they don't do it. Like you said, the money comes into the account. All they know is fees are taken out at the end of the month. It's kind of one of the things that they really aren't paying that much attention to. Docs, listen to me when I say this. This is the easiest way for you to lower your costs and put more money back in your pocket, especially for a dentist. You guys are targets because the office managers get in the way and cost you so much with the software. So your normal base cost is higher than any other business, and then because of the softwares. So when someone lowers your cost from 4% down to 3%, you think you're getting a good deal when it should be from 4% down to 2%.
Mm-hmm. And every one of those percents, again, on all the dollars that you're processing, and I think a lot of docs don't realize the volume that they're processing is, a lot of dollars. I mean, a lot of pieces of a lot of, what do they say, $1 here and $1 there? I can't think, it was a congressman said, or a billion here, billion there. Pretty soon we're talking about a lot of money. $1 here, $1 there adds up. And yeah, you've got the one you were showing me beforehand is $2,000 a month. I mean, just a shade over, it's $25,000 a year. And so you're scrambling for this. I mean, Leo, I don't know, that's a vacation home, or that's a new car. That's a lot of things.
As we talked before, I'm buying you a Ferrari.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Actually, that's probably about right. So they need to get a statement, and then you'll do the math, right?
The math, I mean, first of all, it takes 30 seconds for people to understand it. I'm going to beat this dead horse. Okay. You take your fee, you get your processing statement, okay? That's one they should be sending you every month, or if not, you got to go online to look at it. Because of this online green thing, a lot of people haven't looked at their statements for years. But you want to find your statement. You want to say, okay, how much did I get charged in fees? Well, I got charged $1,000. I took in $50,000. Well, that's 2%. That would be a good rate. But if you take $50,000 and they charge you $5,000, that's 10%. And that's how the math wants to work, guys. You want to look at, say, okay, if I drop this 5% down to 2%, how much money would that put in my pocket? And that's where we come in, or any reputable company.
So you're saying that even though they're telling you it's 1.5%, when you look at the real money they took, so the 1.5% or 1.25% plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this, on page 7 and page 11 and page 22 ends up being 5%, then you're really paying 5%.
Right. The 1.25 is a smoke screen. And that's where, people get overcharged, is that they go chasing the lowest number. So you were at 1.5 and someone offers you 1.25, you think you're going to get a lower cost. Yeah. Well, it's not there, and you're actually going to pay more because of the way credit card processing is structured. Especially if you're in a rich area. Think about it this way. If they're going to give you a 1.25% rate for all your check cards, but you never see any check cards, what good is that 1.25%?
Right.
You're not realizing that 1.25%, but now that 1.25 rate is where they're putting your rewards cards in at 4%, and all you take is rewards cards. Well, that's what you're really getting charged on, and that's why people's effective rates don't match their qualified rates. So that's where you guys want to think about it this way. How much am I actually paying? Effective rate. What's my target? And the latest article I have for you guys gave the numbers. If you're in a working class environment, you should be closer to 1.7%. If you're in a middle class environment, you should be closer to 2%. If you're in an upper income area, you should be closer to 2.25%, 2.5%. You should not be paying more than 2.5%, guys. If you're paying 2.5%, you better live in a very wealthy area. I just recently had a doctor who sent their statement over, and their effective rate was 2.46%. And I looked at their, the per capita income in the area was $15,000. I was like, you're paying 2.45%. That's the same as my doctor in Beverly Hills. Your clients are broke. Those are rich. There's no way in the world you should be paying the same. Right. And because of the non-disclosed statement, we couldn't really prove anything. Yeah. So they're going to do a 3-month trial with us.
They're not working the big points cards. They're using a debit card or check card.
They're using a debit card.
Okay.
And that's what happens when you get with an Interchange Plus program, which we use Interchange Plus program only. Most reputable companies have gone to Interchange Plus programs. Your client's income is going to dictate your costs. If you're in a poor area, you're going to pay cheaper costs. If you're in a rich area, you're going to pay higher costs. But once again, if you took nothing but MasterCard World Card Elite, that is one of the most high value credit cards there is, your cost would still be under 2.5%.
Huh.
And no one's going to take nothing but MasterCard World Class Elite.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's the big points card, or one of the biggest points cards. Yeah. Yeah.
Their cards actually call high value that are 2.5%. Well, you're not going to take nothing but high value cards. And so that's why when I talk to them, sure, 3.5%, 4%, it's easy to say, okay, we're going to get you 2.5, worst case scenario.
On all the cards.
On everything, your whole, once again, it winds up being effective rate. The 1.25, the flat rate programs are all smoke screens. And I'll give you an idea. When I talked about flat rate programs, we had a dentist just recently switched to us. Their flat rate was supposedly 2%. They were actually effective rate at 2.26%. And when we did the, when they switched over to us for a 3-month trial, we got them down to 1.8. Okay, so right there, they're saving almost 0.5% on $100,000 a month. Boom, there's $500 a month back in your pocket.
Well, and that's where it gets off track, as you think, it's 0.5%, but on that kind of money, it's $500 a month. It's a car payment.
Oh God, yes, and there's where people have to understand your volume. You've got a secret partner. It can be a secret partner, that's taking a small amount of your money, like the reputable companies like mine, or you got guys who, like the software companies, they are basically dictating your costs. And we've seen recently a doctor paying as high as 7% effective rate going through their dental software.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And that's the software, that's the dental people. That's not in addition to your merchant account people.
No, that's the merchant account fees. What happened was, and I said, just so you guys understand, because dentists' profit margin for processing is so high, this company came in and bought all the companies that interface with the dental software because they had a higher than normal profit margin. And when they bought them out last year, they put them up twice what our markup is. And they're getting ready to do it again. And the reason is because you guys aren't paying attention to it, or your office manager is not looking at it. So next thing you know, as I said, think about this. Over the last year, dental software cost has gone up 0.5%.
So that alone, $1,000 a month.
Yeah, if you're doing 0.5% on $10,000 a month, that's $50. That's $50 a month. No, now you start talking up to $100,000. You're talking an extra $500, and that's just the increase. They were already ridiculously high to begin with. They just added more icing to that cake. Yeah.
Well, that's all I know, Leo, is that every time we do one of these and I send somebody to you, I get a thank you note. So it sort of starts out like, thank you. And by the way, I'm really mad about this. And I think it's, I think you're right. It's an easy place to take a few extra percent times a lot of docs, and that's real money. And if you're the doc, it's your money. I mean, and literally for nothing different. I mean, so if somebody switches over, they don't notice they don't notice anything different at all.
Well, depending on the system, like I said, if they're using the dental software, we've got to train their staff. We've got to make the doc take charge of this whole procedure and say, you know what, there's not enough savings. There's not enough time savings for this to make it worth my while to pay this amount, and you stop it. That's the biggest thing right there. Then at that point, you decide, are you going to get a terminal and just do it old school and hand key the doctor in? Or we have a lot of dental purchasing groups where they're buying up practices all over the country. And one of the ones we have in Colorado, who's got like 50 practices they bought over the last 4 years, they've switched from the dental software to a gateway we use called USA ePay. Okay. USA ePay is the Swiss Army knife of credit card processing. So not only can you attach a payment page to your website, you can set your clients up for recurring billing. They have wireless terminals, so you can walk all over the office and take credit cards in the different rooms along those whole lines. And it's a really cost-effective program that basically takes the place of anything anybody else could possibly want. This is if you want to be able to do everything. And with our program, it only adds $20 per month and 7 cents an account to an existing pricing.
So it kind of replaced what the dental software was doing on your own.
Yeah. It's a great system because more and more people are doing recurring billing where, doc, I can't afford a $2,000 bill, and the doc says, well, okay, let me have you pay $200 a month for the next year. And you set this client up in the recurring billing process where they are going to have their credit card hit for, once a month for $200, and you get the client, get the patient what they need, and you get paid with a little extra interest once you set it up the right way. And that's one of the big things nowadays that people are doing. Instead of paying care credit 10%, if you're going to take the loan, might as well do it yourself and not take that 10% hit.
Right. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, I know it's our time here. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, and and I know you're very generous with your time, and this is practice owners who are watching and don't know, this is Leo's thing. You will be hard pressed to find anybody who follows the rates, watches the rates, and this is for a long time. I mean, how long? You've been doing this for years, right, Leo?
Oh yeah, I've been doing processing for now going on my 23. It'll be 23 years this August. But I was also a stockbroker and had a radio show back in Chicago previous to this. So I've been dealing with numbers for the last 30, 40 years.
Enough to be able to retire to Florida and still keep working. And I know you well enough, Leo. You and I are probably a lot alike in that. There's no slowing down. You gotta be doing something every day.
Yeah, when our kids, I've got high schoolers, when they're off, we're gonna grow up and go someplace else where I can do this while I'm sitting on the beach.
Good.
So, as far as getting a hold of me, I always try to let merchants call me directly at 844-483-1995. That way we can have a discussion, or they can fax over a statement or email a statement to us. And, whatever way you can get a statement in my hands and then follow up, guys. As I say, this doctor in Colorado sent over a statement a week and a half ago. We're saving her $2,000 a month, but she left the office. So there's no way for me to talk to her.
Well, and your website is inter-pay.com.
Yep.
Right. We'll put those down below. The phone number to get Leo, 844-483-1995. And then inter-pay.com. It's Leo Townsend. Leo, I know you've got a lot ahead of you down there in Florida. Any parting words of wisdom you want to share with practice owners?
The biggest one that I've been yelling at the top of the roofs for the last 15 years, take the control of this yourself. It's your money. Learn this. I can teach you the whole way that math works in less than 5 minutes. It's not that complicated, but you need to take control of this because your office managers, as a person who has to deal with them, they're not caring about your money. They care more about being embarrassed. And I can't put it any simpler than that. If you think about it this way, if I'm saving you $3,000 a month, is your office manager the type of person who's going to say, hey, I made a mistake. I signed up with this company and Leo will save you $3,000 a month. If you don't think that's what your office manager would do for you, that's literally what's happening.
Yeah. Well, and it's while we're shut down, I mean, that's really where this came from. You're shut down and there are things you can be doing, just digging into your numbers. And we've said before on this series, Coming Back Stronger, look at some of the things you're paying. Leo, you can't believe the docs who are paying for services they haven't gotten for years and years. When our kids were home, we had Netflix and Vudu and Hulu and Prime and all these things. The kids are gone. We watch like 2 things. And you start looking at a credit card statement and you realize I'm spending $100 a month on something I haven't even looked at. So there's a lot of these little things that go on under your nose that now is a good time to dig into your checkbook, into your bank account, into your merchant account statements. Now's a good time to dig into those things. And, if you've got not even a big practice, but a fair sized practice, I mean, it comes up to definitely hundreds, but into the thousands of dollars a month that, Leo ends up finding for you. So I would, so with that, Leo, I wanted to say thank you for coming on again. It's always a treat.
Yeah. Well, I want to leave everybody with this thought. This is one of the things, especially going on now. There are companies out there, this doctor that's faxed over the statement and then left. They're being charged $90 a month. $90 a month for nothing, just because the merchant processors can hit them for $90 a month and they're not paying attention. And this time of when you're not doing any processing, see how many dollars they're taking for you to do nothing. If you're not processing your dollars and you're still getting a statement fee where it's a $200 debit out of your account for nothing, it's really time to start looking someplace else, guys.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to think of that's the one you found, right? There's a lot more you haven't found. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, practice owners, I appreciate you listening in. As always, Leo Townsend, International Payment Solutions. If you have any trouble getting a hold of Leo or I said a number wrong, just reach out to the Profitable Dentist, and we'll make sure you get in touch. And Leo, I appreciate it. This is the kind of nuts and bolts things that I wanted to cover in this series, things that a doc can do now, today, and get a handle on their practice. So, if you fix it today, you're saving hundreds or thousands of dollars a month every month you come back going forward. So it's not a matter of saving $1,000 this month and you're finished. It's literally every month. Plus fees like that, again, charging you $99 to take your money is, those are the things that, like I said, here at the Profitable Dentist, that's the kind of things that we're looking to fix. So with that, practice owners, thanks for listening in. And until we come back, this is Steve Parker, Leo Townsend for Coming Back Stronger, and hang in there.
Stay strong, guys.